Give me a home out in the bush, please. Lots of more trees, a bong or two, me mate. Wild Roo, some skunk out the back. Hydro in the shed, and the old smoking shed, and the old smoking shed.
G'day, welcome to the Terpene Table, where cannabis culture meets cultivated conversation. I'm your host, Wild Roo, grower, guide, and your mate in the garden. Each episode, we dig into the roots of the plant, from terpene talk to cultivar deep dives, to stories shaping the cannabis scene. So roll one, pack one, pour a cuppa, and let's hop in. This episode of the Terpene Table is brought to you by Growers Pal. Aussie legends when it comes to keeping your clones safe in transit. If you've ever tried to post a cutting wrapped in wet paper towel and cling wrap, you'll know it's a gamble at best. Growers Pal clone shippers take the guesswork out of it. Purpose built with segmented compartments to keep your genetics snug, and even a little LED light to keep them happy on the road. Whether they're headed up the coast or across the country, you can trust your prize cuts will land fresh, not fried. They're mates of the Roo and they're mates of the Discord, so you know their growers looking out for you, not just trying to sell you something. Head over to growerspower.com.au. That's www.growerspal.com.au and sort yourself out with a proper kit for moving your genetics across the country, because good clones deserve a fair dinkum safe ride. You ever wondered what it takes to grow the perfect plant and turn it into a fire edible that actually works? Today we're talking with someone who does both, and does it well, from seed to sugar. Let's hop in. G'day legends, and welcome back to the Terpene Table. As always, I'm your host, Wild Roo, and this week we're switching it up a bit with an interview episode. I'm joined by Tink, an edible maker and passionate grower who's been hands-on with the plant from soil prep to the final dose of butter. We'll chat grow styles, terpene retention in edibles, how to dose, and what it means to make cannabis food that's tasty and medicinal. This one goes for a while, so you might want to have a bowl full. Sit back, relax, toke up, and enjoy. So thanks for joining us, Tink. Guess we'll get started and jump right in, and we'll start off with what you're puffing on.
What am I puffing on? I'm puffing on actually some Big Red. I was going to hunt out what the actual strain was of that, because I have a mate that actually brought those genetics to the table.
That was
I
a
didn't.
forbidden flowers strain, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, one of the last of. Nice sativa.
Yeah, it's an orange haze leaning auto.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Enough to keep me awake.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And getting in those limonene terps.
That's the one.
All right, so we'll start off. First question, I guess, is where did your cannabis journey begin? So what got you growing, or was it edibles first, or?
Edibles has only actually been like the last part of my journey, to be honest. I think it started, the original is always, back as a teenager, having that one bong, which was my Mullumbimby madness, which tripped me out for like 3 hours, and then I didn't touch it all for another couple of years.
Isn't that a standard go-to story for back then?
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like I
especially in Australia,
that milestone in my life. Yeah. The rite of passage type thing.
Exactly, and the Mullumbimby as well. Yeah. Everyone gets sort of that euphoric head spin high and figure first high, and it just blows your mind.
Yeah, and I've met the strain again just in the last couple of years, and it's still as mind-blowing as what it was back then
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
even as an
definitely.
older person. So, yeah, it makes sense now. But, yeah, I went from that to, just being around probably outdoors. I again didn't get introduced really to indoors in any way till later on in the 90s for me, which was, when I was in my 30s. I'm now 58. So we worked that out. And
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, I was thinking about this afternoon, and I must admit, I think one of the biggest things that stood out for me was the cannabis type people,
Yeah,
the
absolutely. Great
cannabis
people in the
community
cannabis
as
community.
such, and where that led me, because I think that's what I hit before I hit the cannabis so much.
Yeah, was
I was trying
the
to think
people
back
and
of when
the
I got back into it.
yep.
And I remember getting back into the community and being accepted into these people that were just so chill and so relaxed. And it was just a different way of partying and it was a different way of life. And I think that was what I remember as being most significant. And then that took me to people having outdoor grows and having a few plants in their backyard. And, it was a lot of bush bud. A lot of what was big at the time was the Italians were growing, in
Yep.
amongst the tobacco and
Yeah,
stuff
definitely.
like that.
Yep.
So it was a lot of compressed weed and a lot of hash.
Yeah, heavy
And
vacuum
that's kind of
packed.
what I got
Yep.
to know. Yeah, yeah. Like your Whole Foods, it was very much your real basic raw um, processes.
Yep, definitely.
I
Yep.
kind of, as an older person, thought I'd missed out and was not that educated, but I was just around people that had very basic
Yeah, it was minimal
types of
trim, minimal
processes.
DSTEM. It
Yeah,
was just
yeah,
yeah.
hung it up like they hang up the tobaccos, and
Yeah, pretty
they'd
much
play
whatever
with it,
fell
and
off,
then
fell
they'd
off,
be,
and then it got bagged
yeah,
up and out to market.
exactly,
Yeah.
yep, yep, yeah, yeah. So, and there was always bag seed.
Yep.
So, I don't remember the quality genetics that we've got nowadays. I didn't really get introduced to that till quite later. Because it was always, I mean, good genetics, but it was trial and error. If you got some, you were so grateful that you had some in your bag.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, and
and that's what
someone,
you worked with.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, everyone popped their bag seed to chase that one
Yeah,
that the neighborhood wanted to hold on to. I guess
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And you kind of went from there. Things have changed so much.
yeah.
I mean, what we've got to offer nowadays versus what I saw earlier on is just night and day. But
Well,
in
with the
saying
growth
that, we had
overseas and
pretty
the
solid
import,
genetics, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I
Like Australia
saw,
is known
and
for some pretty cool cannabis.
absolutely, I watched some cuttings come all the way from overseas. That was when I first met Northern Lights. All we'd known in my area, which was the northeast,
Yep,
was skunk
yep,
for a very good decade.
yep. Yeah,
So to
yep.
then have something that had a name, to have like cannabis that actually had
Had
names that you could
a brand
identify
name.
and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah, yeah,
and it very much
uh,
was a brand name. Northern Lights, White Rhino. You know those sorts
yes,
of and they're still staples today
absolutely.
in the Australian underground sort of scene. I think probably not as true a genetic as they once were.
I agree,
Yeah,
because we also got so excited about what we could do with them and crossing this and crossing that. We've come a long way with what we're able to do as an individual person,
definitely.
versus, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we got a little bit too carried away. Maybe.
Oh yeah, definitely in some ways, and some shapes,
Yep.
and some paths. Definitely a
Yeah.
lot of people have taken things down the wrong path, and then others have been left to sort of use that as they haven't had any other option. I feel
Yeah.
in
And
Australia.
I suppose, this is where I get to my passion of it all, and it's definitely the medicinal side of it. So that's when I think about the old, land race strains, because medicinally, I wonder if our cross is breaking down, those really strong structures. I'm not convinced it is. I think it, could be multiplying its benefits for sure.
I think in both ways, I think you're correct there, in my opinion. Like, I think, if the selection process is done properly, we're going to choose the right selections and go down the right paths, adding benefits
Yeah,
to that cannabis, whether that be terpene profiles or, CBD,
yeah,
THC levels, whatever you're sort of chasing.
yeah,
But then there's the people out there, especially here in Australia, that are just sort of, well, not to say pollen chucking, but that bag seed that you're getting, has come from loose genetics anyway.
yeah, yeah,
And then we're forced to work with that, given no other option. But now
yeah,
a lot of import seeds are coming in, and things like that, giving us as growers a lot more to choose from, I guess.
yeah.
And genetically refine things. But yeah, definitely going back and chasing some of those heirlooms and seeing what they have to
Yeah,
offer.
heirlooms. That's
Yeah,
the one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, because some of
I think it's
those
exciting.
landrace heirlooms coming back, or people hunting
Yeah,
them out. Like I've got one from Bodhi Seeds, given to me from
yeah.
Milo Grow, and that's like a pure hash plant.
Mm,
So I'd be really interested to run that, and see what
that sounds
potentially can be
amazing.
found there. So
And like I'm talking about stuff that I haven't worked a lot of time with or anything like that. I just find it so fascinating. And when you've been around it a while, you see the big picture of it all. You see where some things are going a little bit off kilter, and where, like you've just said, where we can hunt out some of the baseline genetics and bring that strength back into it, and have respect for the what cannabis is.
yeah, the
I
roots of
think
the
it's a
plant.
huge part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hundred
yeah.
percent.
There's a lot of people that are doing some amazing stuff with genetics and yeah, stuff like that, which is just brilliant. I'm a little bit. I'm not in that field. I respect it. I love what I can learn by being around it. I have a little dabble myself whenever I can, but I suppose my passion lies in more bringing medicine to people,
Yep,
which then ended up turning into edibles,
yep,
because who doesn't like eating nice medicine, you know?
exactly.
um, yeah. Um,
Yeah, look, if you can enjoy yourself while you're sitting in front of a movie, even around the children, so to say, but not with the children, which is
yeah.
it's something that's so heavily frowned upon. So to be able to just
Oh, look, we're
pull an
still
edible out
working.
of the
Yeah,
cupboard, and
yeah.
you know, and have that is such a relief. You can sit down on the couch and enjoy it, and
Think it's always about discretion. I don't think it's about, when we're flying our flag, we're doing it in a specific scene for a specific reason. But in everyday life, I think the beauty of it is that it can be so discreet, just incorporating it into everyday life. I think what we're still going against is the huge stigma of it that we've had for quite a few hundreds of years.
yeah,
Uh,
the
yeah,
yeah, the injecting your marijuanas that'll send you
yeah.
crazy and causes
Yeah,
laziness and group orgies and all the rest of it. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
it's always been like so, and I've fought against, like, my whole family and my upbringing and everything was very right winged, very anti, it's the devil's lettuce, absolutely, it's evil. So to bring forth that I see it as medicinal has been a real challenge.
yep,
So I've got over the fact that I don't care about their acceptance or anything like that, because I've been led into a world where people really need it and really want it.
yeah,
And for me, the payoff in seeing people actually get healed from it, I've done it for myself.
yep,
Everything I've done purely, for starters, because I needed the help or my family needed the help.
yep.
As in, I've raised 3 children. So cannabis has been something that I've been able to come back to and really rely on when it comes to useful stuff in everyday life.
Yeah, to lean on for your own sort of mental stability at times, or
Absolutely, that big
yep,
time, Roo. It got me the opportunity to get off pharmaceutical drugs, and
and that's
I had a
always a
lot of
massive
mental
bonus.
health issues, a lot of post trauma, stuff like that, and that's why even more so. I mean, I was advocating before when I was still using pharmaceuticals and the system and everything like that. But now that I'm post it, I've just gone harder in how much I
Natural
can't
medicine.
help but absolutely,
Yeah. How
and
much
what we
natural medicine
basically are
can do
going
for
against
us.
is the stigma,
Yeah. Oh,
and the
100%.
person next to you saying, not sure you should be doing that,
Mm.
and once we get past that and realize that
The
there's
doctor has a pill
so
for
many
that.
different ways to enjoy cannabis
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
use it beneficially.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I mean. There's so many benefits to cannabis without even getting high.
Yep.
Even.
Oh, big time. The high's the fun bit if you're that way inclined.
Oh, 100%.
But, to talk to someone who's, you know, says, I'm just not in pain. I can get up and walk, or
Yep.
my leg's healed up. I don't have any of that rash down the back of my leg because of the balm.
That's what I was going to
Or
say.
my
That comes back
shoulder's
to
not
your root
hurting. I'm
balm.
getting some relief.
Yeah,
Or,
so
it's
you're starting
just,
at the roots and the base of the plant, and then you've
yes,
got the stems and everything else that we can use and make rope and fiber,
absolutely.
clothes, everything else. And then we've
Yep,
got the flower and everything
yep,
else, and the terpenes and the
yep.
oils and everything that come from that. Um, so
Absolutely.
so
It's
the
endless.
exactly the
Yep,
medicinal potential, and even just
yes,
the industrial potential of cannabis is
yes,
huge.
yes.
So yeah, I totally
And there's
agree.
obviously a big point to why it's not being utilised when you look at the world and, where we sit in 2025. To me, that kind of says a statement itself
Oh, it does
that we've got
definitely.
all these prohibitions on it. So obviously it's got to be useful. I love the fact that I've been able to actually work with people and gather this research that we haven't gained so much because it's been such an anti-world,
Yeah,
and have um, reviews and testimonies to how well it works.
definitely.
I'm a testimony myself to so many parts of my life. And like I said in the edible, it started the journey from making little cannabis coconut capsules that you could introduce into your diet, to making these delicious little chocolate balls of exploding yumminess, because who doesn't
Yeah.
deserve the
Oh,
best kind of best treat?
because I tell you
Um,
what, that redskin fudge is to die for.
and calling them
Oh,
blessables. Yeah.
oh,
So
delicious.
I just think it's infinite what you can learn, and the potential, and what again, like, really um gets me excited is anyone can do this at home. Anyone.
Yeah,
If you've got the flower or you've got the plant, then you can do anything I can do with it. It's not something that only big people or well-educated people or people with really cool, expensive tools can do. We
that
can
that was
all
yeah
make
exactly. I
this
was going to
stuff
get
with
to
a
you
jar,
on that one. Yeah,
with a lid.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I was going to get to you on that, and like, what were you going to say? What was your personal approach, or how would you recommend someone chase that at home if they were to grow the plant themselves? How would they go about making their first edible?
Um, I think probably I tend to come from a perspective of what's your diet already? What's your favorite way of eating? Cannabis is best to work with a fat. So fats grab the resins off the cannabis. So when you're infusing, you got to look at a fat, you look at an oil, and look at your diet and what you like to eat,
Yep. Okay.
and then make that. So
You
I
could go sweet, you can go
personally,
savory, you can go any route
yeah,
you like.
or do you use a lot of butter in your diet? So you infuse some butter.
Okay.
No, do I use more oil in my life? Do I
Yep.
like an avocado oil? Do I like making salad dressings? Okay, well, then I need to infuse an oil,
Okay.
and I can make it out of that. I don't think people realize how we can adapt cannabis into our already existing diet. Yeah. Does that make sense? Or am I?
Does definitely. No.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
And the same as, like, if you make that cake, what do you make the cake out of? what's the fat or what's the, cooking agent in it, and that's what you infuse. So anything that you eat that has that in it, you can add cannabis to.
Okay, so I could use
Yeah,
my vegetable oil in the cupboard or the olive oil
absolutely.
or yeah. Okay, beautiful.
Butter or duck fat or, I mean, you can get really, really delicious if you want to talk about proper flavor. And, I think we deserve and should look at spending that little bit more to get that really delicious product to infuse our cannabis into. Because sometimes we're doing cannabis a disservice by using a cheap old oil off the, you know,
Off just
off
the
the
home brand supermarket shelf. Yeah.
yeah, let's not.
Yep.
Let's like up the quality because really, I never realized, but you don't need a great deal. I think our brains sometimes always think in huge amounts,
Yeah. Yep.
and
Yep.
we don't need huge amounts, a cake only takes a quarter a cup of oil. So, and you want to get your infusions to a state and preparation that you're comfortable that you're getting enough out of too. So you
Yep.
want to shove a fair bit into that. And then, you know, you've got to have usually about a cup is, the smallest amount maybe that you want to actually infuse,
Yep.
unless you want to get,
So how much
yeah,
flour
there
am
are
I
a lot of
looking
things to look
at
at.
putting into say a cup of oil? So if I was to, like I said, I got my
Yep,
first plant, got my first harvest, and
yep,
I just want to make edibles. I'm not a smoker.
yep.
Um, so how do I go about doing that? I've got my harvest 50 to 100 grams.
Well, that's fabulous because really, I'd say for just your everyday, I don't need a great deal. To put something like 14 grams into a cup of oil is quite okay,
Okay. Yep.
but you would need to decarb it first. I don't know. See, everyone's different. This is when you get into really weird territory because I think you need to work out how strong you like your shit, um, how much of the oil you're going to use at one time
Yep.
is quite relevant. Um, I personally would put, I don't go any less than an ounce per cup,
Yep.
but then I also use best buds
But
in my
then,
stuff.
that's then you come back to the old adage of just start low, go slow. Like,
Yes, absolutely. So a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of it would be quite okay, I'm also an advocate of try your stuff. I think if you head towards consumable, easier to consume, like I'll down some avocado oil, but I've got a different palate than a lot of people. So, coconut, your coconut that, what is it, the refined
yep.
that gets hard again.
Yep.
That's really good for most people's systems and really easy to eat. And, I think sometimes that could be the first place to start is your coconut,
With
your
just a coconut
MCTs as
oil.
well.
Yeah. Yep. MCT
Yeah,
oil,
yeah.
coconut oil. Yep.
Because as a consumer and as a home grower, to even just put a half a tablespoon of that into a lovely, hot chocolate or something like that is really quite
Yeah.
palatable and a
Evening
really
hot
good way to
chocolate.
see
Yep.
how dosages work for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. Beautiful. I
yeah.
like that. It's a great tip. Definitely.
I think it really does come back. I can get carried away with different stuff, but I think it does come back to the go low and go slow. I've worked with people that have, as we say, crossed over. They've been so brought up so anti-cannabis and always been too scared, but I find them coming to me and saying, look, I really want to try it. I really believe that it's going to help me and all of that.
Yep.
I
So
don't
start them
want
off with a
them
low
to green
dosage
out.
edible. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, at all. I want to,
Yep.
introduce them into the world
In
and
a
never
pleasant
had them
way.
turn back. Yeah, so it's about trying little bits and building up to it, and yeah, um,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely, because there is a tolerance with THC and
yep,
CBD and all the rest of it that you know
yep.
that we
And
as
again,
smokers
I'm
or
still,
as consumers
yep,
understand, but as other people they might not, and they feel like their first experience might be the way it's always going to be. Is another thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I as an older person, I don't always think if you have to like have that horrid first experience, and especially like when someone's older and first trying it and wanting to benefit from it, I don't want them to have a bad experience if I can help them avoid it
Yeah, definitely.
and turn them off it, because they've already taken too long, in my opinion, to get to know it anyway. Um, it's not for the whole population, but phew,
No, but I think
I'd
there's
say
something
about
in it.
90%.
But I think there's
Yeah,
something in it
at,
for the whole population,
yeah,
whether that just even be a hemp balm
absolutely,
or something, you know.
exactly.
Yeah,
And that's what I was just thinking in that breath too, was, it's not always
candles.
about smoking it or anything like that. To get these salves and these balms and these oils, that I love making those as well. Now I did that because I do suffer from arthritis. We've got horrific eczema and conditions like that in my family. Well, we don't suffer that much anymore,
Yeah,
and this is from the roots of a cannabis
yeah,
plant.
exactly. That's
So
just the roots. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So growing it yourself, mate, you are literally growing your own medicine.
Oh, look, I
And
couldn't agree with you anymore. You know,
yeah,
like I said,
it's
and
never ending.
that
Um,
medicine thing comes back. You know, I agree with that. To myself. You know, in my
yeah,
own aspects in my own personal life.
yeah.
Um, I grew up in a commercial family in a commercial setting where cannabis was a money crop.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah. Wow.
and then as a teenager, having the accident that I had, and cannabis, like I said, and I still say to a lot of people, I credit cannabis with being able to walk. Like,
Wow. Yeah. Quite
it's
profound.
yeah. So
Yeah.
to go from seeing it like that, to then seeing it as a medicine, I've
Yeah.
got respects for both sides, because
Yep.
I didn't find the medicinal benefits until, probably a lot later in my experience with the plant.
Yep. Yeah.
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 I knew what it was, I knew how to grow it and all the rest of it. But
Isn't it interesting? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
which gives you just so much knowledge when it comes to the actual growing of the plant and everything like that as well.
oh,
Yeah, I
100%. But
have an appreciation for those that have just been around it in such a big way.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
on
it.
the growing level.
Yeah, I know. Look, I was,
Mm,
around it to a point where it was, everyday life, I guess. But like I said,
yeah,
it was not to the point that everyday life that it is now.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
it's a medicinal thing for me now, completely compared to how it
yeah.
was looked at.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine life without it, but then I choose not to have life without it. I would fight tooth and nail. I don't see a world where I have to go without it,
Well, I
you know.
don't see why we should. It was left here for a reason, wasn't it? Like,
Exactly.
grows on Earth
Yeah,
for a reason. And that comes back to a
I
lot
think
of
it's
things.
crackers.
You
It's
know,
Yeah,
milk
it's just
thistle,
crackers.
dandelion. All of these
Yeah,
other natural
yeah. Oh,
plants and
even right
medicines
down
that.
to your lemon balms and your, yeah. I mean, I'm infusing cannabis with some butterfly pea flower because it's so good for regulating your blood and everything like that. It works in harmony so well. My balm, it has calendula in it because calendula is such a skin healer. It
Yeah,
activates our cells and so they all work together.
that's the next
It's
step
just
to
crazy
whole
good.
plant medicine, isn't it?
Yes.
It's the
Yeah.
net. Yeah. We talk about the entourage effect of cannabis and
Yes.
the way that works,
Exactly.
and the way terpenes
Yes.
work
I think
together.
that intertwines with other things as well.
But yeah,
Like tinctures,
exactly.
the useful use of alcohol,
Yep,
and where that can play a part. Yeah, yeah. I think it brings the good out in a lot of things
it does
that on
definitely.
their own can be quite nasty and evil, to be honest. Yeah,
Yep. Look, I don't
yeah,
disagree at all. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, okay. Let's go on to another question here.
Yeah.
What's the one edible you're most proud of?
Oh, it would have to be my pixie dust.
Yep.
Absolutely, my pixie dust. It was like you like your signature dish.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Um, yeah, and most of my really, well, what I'm proud of, edible wise, it's only come about in the last like 5 years.
Yep.
It's so new to my life. It became something that
That you
could
found.
generate an income for me
Yep. Okay.
in reality,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, definitely.
I found myself homeless and carless 4 years ago, and that's not a good place to be as an empty nester. So I had to get my thinking cap on and think, okay, what am I good at? And I'd always wanted to make delicious edibles. So I had pixie dust already. I had my balm, and it just kept multiplying from there. And it
Yep.
became something that I really got into. Now,
So it was a natural
what
growth.
yeah, like absolutely an evolution of
Yeah.
products type thing. Like, what else can I do? And I could make 5 flavors of that, and yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
what keeps and what's shelf stable, and all these things that come into it as well. Because I'm pretty high on the integrity and quality of product and all of that.
Yep.
And something else that I put into all my products, yeah, and that's and that I notice is night and day with growers and people, and that you invest your passion into it.
Oh,
You
definitely.
know,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure you do.
yeah. And to have a product and have the feedback come back that, oh, it had that extra something. Of course it did,
Yep.
because I want you blessed.
Yeah.
And that's a
Yep.
big part of my products and my blessables and my balms and everything is I want people blessed by them. I would love to say that I can make stuff that'll blow your head off, but I don't have that intention. It's just not something I can do it, but I don't see the point, and it makes me wonder how many issues you've got if you're asking for
Yeah,
it,
that's
because
fair
I
enough.
care so holistically. So
Yeah.
I'm all about a good and groovy feel.
It's a completely
Yeah,
different approach to just getting smashed out of your brain. Yeah.
yeah. It is.
Yeah.
And that's, look, on no judgment. We all go through that part in our life, or we're still stuck in that part of our life. I, again, care too much, and I'd want someone to, start processing stuff if they've got to be that smashed out of their head all the time. So that's probably where I step out, and it's good that they can just buy them off me and run away.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep. And you can remain a bit
Yeah.
a bit anonymous, sort of, so to say,
Yeah,
on your
yeah. Because,
platforms.
I can care too much. Yeah. Um, and not everything's what we're trying to achieve. Sometimes you just got to leave people with it.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Let them find their own path with it,
Provide a
but at least
service and
exactly.
some relief. Absolutely. One of the other products that I have that isn't so well known is the Feco that I make, and I'm so proud of that.
Yep.
But I'm proud of that's like a heavy duty medicine.
Yeah, Feco's
And to have
pretty
access to that and be
high
able to share that with people and
concentrate.
see some real relief is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you're talking like serious terminal illnesses there though. Generally with Feco, you're
Absolutely.
talking
Well, yeah, chronic
cancers.
illnesses for sure.
Yep.
People really trying to, quite simply, in a lot of cases, beat cancer.
Yep.
And I'm getting feedback, oh, can I get some more? 12 months later.
Yeah.
They weren't meant to be here. This stuff is powerful. I don't own the patent by any means.
No.
I'm amused at people who want to be competitive in this area because, hello, this is something that nature has given us. We can all come out with a product. It's who
Agreed.
we are that
Yeah, well,
creates that product in a lot of
I
instances.
think
But
in Australia, a lot of us have known it probably as Rick Simpson oil.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's still a broken down, highly concentrated form of cannabis paste.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we've even, which is beautiful. A while ago now,
yeah,
I think we've even developed that better. So
the processes
when people say,
definitely.
oh, RSO, I like to say no FECO and try and correct them. But that's just me knowing how far we've come with the FECO, which is the full extract cannabis oil.
Exactly.
I have such a respect for Rick Simpson oil.
Yep.
I think that it comes down to the education of the process.
Yes, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, full cannabis, we can do so much with it, even if we're eating it. People fighting cancer, they should be eating it raw.
Whole plant medicine.
It's absolutely,
yeah.
It's truly the plant that gives.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go. What's your favourite strain to grow?
A big one with
A big one,
I
a
used
high yielding one.
well, I used to always say no, it's about the flavour, but now I got look. I'll be real, because the more produce I've got, the more stuff I can make.
Yeah, so the higher yield
So,
you get, the more edibles you can make, and
well, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And the
the more.
more like good flour I can pop into those edibles, because I like to use the best buds, the best buds. A lot of people say, oh, we just use trim. We only use the offcuts. We only use what we snipped
Trim and
off.
shake.
And
Yep.
that's okay. I use the heart of mine, and I think it comes through in my like edibles because, I want to eat the best. I
Yeah,
want to
look,
be, yeah.
I
I
don't
smoke the
disagree.
best as well.
Yep.
Yeah, but I also too, the way I grow, I don't know why I don't end up with a lot of shit. I don't end up with a lot of waste.
Yep.
I end up with the only thing that goes back into the compost is the leaves. And they've got no trichomes or anything like that on them. They're purely compostable
Yep.
because I can't eat that many. Yeah, so I don't trim as hard as a lot of people though.
No.
Um,
No, but
so
again,
because that's beautiful to go into
but all those sugar
making
leaves and
medicines
everything
or
like that
lessons.
all count
Yeah,
when you're breaking it down
yeah,
into those extracts. Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
100%.
And we've got some amazing strains nowadays to be using to make stuff.
Oh,
I
look, the
mean,
trichome
to
production
make a
and resin
product that
production.
nearly tastes that strain is just crazy good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, the way
yeah.
the flavonoids come through,
Yes,
as well as the cannabinoids and everything else. Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, some of those strains are definitely better at doing it than others, and some breeders are a lot better at
Absolutely.
showcasing them than others too. So,
Absolutely. And the selection is endless. That's why get a bit stumped with what's your favorite and all of that, terpene profiles and, you know, um, yeah, the notes that you get out of them.
yeah, cool. That was
But,
going to be another
you've got
question.
strains like wedding cake, and I talk about strains that I've also had access to a lot.
Yep.
Granddaddy Purple, well, it goes without saying, I haven't had a lot of access to that over the last couple of years. I've had more access to wedding cake, so I'm in love with wedding cake.
Yep.
I can be in love with a lot of different strains, so I find it hard to,
Yeah,
and
because I guess they
I
fit the
like
bill in
getting
different
different
ways.
flavors
Yeah.
through my day.
Yep.
I don't just smoke one strain for like days and days. I change it up
Yeah, no, I'm
quite a bit during
100%
the
the
day, and
same.
that's part of mental management.
Yep.
I don't get up if I got up and had a high indica in the morning. I'm napping again by 10:30.
Yep.
I've
And
been up
something
for
like
an hour
heavy
and I'm
in
ready to go back to
myrcene as
sleep.
well. And yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Myrcene, heavy
So
indica, you're just going to want to go back to bed.
yeah,
But if you have something
exactly.
nice and
So
fruity and uplifting, you're gonna
yep.
wanna you're gonna want to start your day and get a buzz on and
Yeah, and you
yeah,
think, oh, I'm encouraged, I'm energized now. So I think it's endless
terpenes
the
play a massive
uses
massive
for
part in
yeah,
in the
yeah,
high. 100% they do.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, totally agree. So finding the right ones and using strains in that way in your edibles
yeah,
to suit that
yeah.
particular strain, I guess. What's something you find you're always learning?
So something else that I'm continuing to always learn about is the activation of different cannabinoids through the processes of the cooking of the edibles and everything like that. Um,
Yeah, so
which has
different
been
lengths of decarboxylation, different cooking
exactly,
times. Yep.
exactly. Yeah, and in cooking edibles, I'm because even with like cake pops, I'm baking. And I can sometimes in some processes I'm baking twice. So instead of if I've decarbed as well, which we could call a baking process in this aspect,
Yes. Yep.
um, I've then activated that or decarbed that 3 times. So I'm not going to really have a lot of THC anymore. I'm going to have a lot of CBN
Yes.
because of the length of time. So I love the fact that I continue to learn it's really important to me that I continue to pass this knowledge on
Yep.
to other people, just
Oh,
like I've
definitely.
gained it.
So something like your
And
cake pop, sorry,
yep,
if that's been decarbed, say 3 times,
yep.
you're going to bring out a lot of CBN in it. That's something you'd recommend to someone looking to have before they go to bed, or
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what I'd refer to as the sleep cannabinoid.
oh, definitely,
To
yep,
me, it's the most useful for sleep activation. Absolutely. We get a lot of it in FECO.
yep,
Um, yeah,
yep.
yeah,
But so that'd be like your
absolutely.
one of your edibles that you would go to if you were going to look for a nap. You'd go for one of your cake pops, sort of thing, because it's
Well, in
been
saying
decarbed
that, a
3 times.
lot of my edibles actually have that effect. And I draw that back to what we were originally talking about, where most of what I've learned and what I've come up with has been to work for myself in the first instance. And one of the biggest things I suffer from is insomnia.
Yep.
And have done for like 35 years. So
So
part of
bringing
my
those
cannabis
CBNs
journey
out.
was to work out what can help me sleep.
Yeah, so bringing those CBNs out is extremely beneficial to you and what you do.
And what I've learned, it's not just strain based anymore. It's also you're decarboxylating it, and
Yep.
you can turn cannabinoids into other cannabinoids through this process, which brings on more of the sleep aspects of it.
Yep.
It's fascinating, and now we're just in a whole new layer of what
And
cannabis can bring to the
and that's the
table.
same with your drying and curing of your flowers too. Now that
Yeah,
we've noticed, the more that we research and the more we do these things, and the longer you
yep,
leave it and dry it, and in a warmer environment rather than a cooler environment,
yep,
you're going to bring out more of those CBNs in naturally.
yep, yep,
Yeah, and you can do that in flour too, and then you compare that with something like your myrcene, um,
yep,
or your caryophyllene, so your pepper terp.
yep.
You pair them together in a flour, and then you're getting a very similar effect to your very CBN based edible.
Yes,
Yeah.
and another aspect that I've learnt too is that when we're not decarbing, so we're using our raw root cannabinoids, and we're letting the process do what it does. And I'm not educated a lot in this area. I don't think anyone is, but I think we're getting into more of the areas of the CBGs,
Yep.
um, and like when I make a lot of my fecos, I'll do part of it's decarbed to get those cannabinoids, and then part of it's not to
Okay.
bring those cannabinoids into it as well, because
Yep.
I want people to get the full cannabinoid experience to my capabilities,
Yep.
with my home use type
And
processes.
so
Yeah.
your feco, that's a alcohol based, like, or you use alcohol
Yes,
to
an
release the
alcohol-based
cannabinoids.
tincture. Yep,
Yep.
yep, yep.
Okay.
I'm
And that
privileged enough to have access to someone who actually brews that off for me. So it's a beautiful, clean, organic, high
very high
alcohol
percent
spirit.
alcohol. Yep.
Yep. Which is just so clean to work with.
Can burn off quite
I'm a
easily, and
natural air dryer, so it
yep.
takes, days and days and days, depending on the weather. But you can't taste it at the end of the day. There's no alcohol in it. And then you work with that tar type substance,
Yep.
and that's your feco. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a goo. Yeah, definitely.
It's very much like like tar, like goo.
Yep.
You can add different things to it to make it usable in different applications and processes, and yeah, but
Yep.
yeah, it's a heavy duty.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And do you like using any other extracts in your edibles?
I love using pressed rosin in my blessables,
Okay.
because it takes it. You don't have to get the real dank cannabis taste. You can avoid that a lot, but
Yeah,
you still
it's
get that
very
real
heavily terpene
significant
based.
high in a small amount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Heavily
yeah,
terpene based,
so
high THC CBD
big time.
concentration. Yep.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're keeping all those natural terpene oils as well that
Yeah.
you're losing through
Yeah.
that FECO process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Are you a cocoa, soil, organic, synthetic, synganic grower? How do you go about growing?
As much like I'm very much the organic. The fact that I'm making chocolate coated like fizzy tingle type products is quite astounding to me. Because I'm someone that would say you don't need sugar in your life and it's not good for you. Oh, but it's just a little treat.
I think we all deserve a little treat sometimes, don't we?
I really am all about the organic. That's where we come back to what's my favorite. It's growing out in the soil.
Yeah.
The more natural, the more nature based.
Your fingers and hands in
I
dirt.
gladly say I use raw sugar in my pixie dust because I think raw is better than your refined white sugar.
Bleached sugars.
Um,
Yep, definitely.
yeah,
Got to agree.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I notice I can't help myself. I've started using some like proper cocoa butter melts in my chocolates because I just want to get it up to that nicer grade. I'm a bit
Yep.
like that with my balm. I add a beautiful, very expensive mango butter now. I've gone to the butters, so I like quality.
Yep.
Um,
Definitely.
and the more quality you've got, the
Well,
less you need to use.
it expresses itself in the product, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah, I think so. I
yep.
think so. I'm proud of them.
Yeah, you should be.
And I do think, that the more you can use a little bit of quality, like I said at the beginning, just I'm proud that I use the best buds
Yep.
because you can say it's the best experience that you can get from it. Yeah,
Oh, definitely. Look,
yeah,
I've been privileged enough to sample your edibles and use your
yeah,
balms, and
mm,
they're all beautiful products.
yeah,
Unfortunately for myself, I just don't process cannabis through the liver the way a lot of people do,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
a
That
shame.
happens with the odd people. It
Yeah,
is. Yeah,
but I still get to enjoy the tastes and the flavors.
yeah, yeah.
So for me, flavors everything. I want to taste those terpenes and all those oils.
And I'm someone who I love, testing it on other people. I've either tested it on myself, my family, and my kids, which I've got one kid that's a really good tester. Um,
Disclaimer here though, the kids are over 18, yes. Just disclaimer.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My kids are actually even over 21.
Yeah,
So
look at that.
my youngest is about to turn 25. So they're great to bring to the party.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, perfect
yeah.
testers. And from the newer generation too, I guess, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Another area is, if we want to talk adult, we'll talk interactions because, there's a lot of people out there on some pretty heavy duty medications. And, I'll have people say to me, oh, how's it going to affect me? And I think that was a part of where I found comfort in just making them all good and groovy, as I call them,
Yeah, so
because I
trying to
can't necessarily
steer away
specify
from that.
the milligrams per edible. Yeah,
Yeah, but steering away from that benzo feeling, I guess, and from those
exactly,
yeah, from
exactly.
those
And
opioids
and
and
knowing
onto
that
a
it's not
natural
going to,
alternative.
yeah, interact badly with anything that could already be happening.
Yep,
Go
definitely.
into it with your eyes open and it's not going to. And, this is the joy of cannabis. What's the worst thing that can happen? You green out and you need to go to bed.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it.
What a beautiful thing that
The number of deaths
we
equal
aren't
to the
looking at
number
deadly
of
side effects or anything like that.
people killed
Yeah.
by unicorns. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, people killed by a good time.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
And a
But
good night's sleep.
yeah, that's right. So
Uh,
the worst it's going to
yeah.
do is make you violently ill for an hour or so, and then you're going to have a good sleep and wake up the next
Yeah.
morning and go, oh Jesus, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
all of us go back to it and go,
That
oh,
was
that's a different
intense.
feeling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You never get that same high again.
No. No.
All right, well, where can listeners find you? Where can they find your work? Where can we reach out to you and get in touch with Tink?
Probably Discord is the best place, I'm
Yep.
thinking.
Find you through the Wild Roots Cultivar Discord.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Wild Roots will have a link because I actually have a Discord of my own as well. you're welcome to pop over there. But I have a lot to do with wild roots, and it's a good place to hang out there.
Yeah, cool. I
But I
do
also have
appreciate that.
yeah, it really is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but blessed
It's
by Tink is your server.
yeah,
Yep.
blessed by Tink. And there's also a shop, but I'm so approachable. I spent so many years doing bespoke work, working with individuals. So above and beyond the edibles, which you can get through the shop.
We'll add a link into the description, or yeah.
Yeah, and it's available around once you're in the actual Discord.
Correct. Once you get into the Discord, yeah, you'll find a link
Yeah,
to Blessed by Tink in the servers we
yeah,
use channel in our Wild Roots Cultivars Discord.
yeah,
So
yes,
you're welcome to pop on over there, and you'll find all of Tink's wares and goodies there.
yeah,
And then a link to
perfect.
her website as well will be on
Yeah.
there. So
And I'm
yeah,
really approachable. I'll work with anyone with needs or anything. If there's anything specific, it's an honor.
or if you want to keep it a bit hush hush, just tap in privately. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's never a problem. Yeah,
it's like
it's been a
a
treat.
sensitive subject that someone might want to talk to you about. Say, yeah, they can tap in privately. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or if you're just wondering if I know about something, often that leads to something. So don't be shy. I think one of the biggest things we can do to ourselves is not ask questions. And these communities that we've got are friendly and they're inviting and they're informative. And people need to be encouraged that no question is a silly question.
no,
We're all learning
100%.
together
Yeah,
and
that's right.
yeah,
And I don't think
yeah.
we're ever going to stop learning.
No,
I
and
think
I
that's
think
the
it's
reason
great.
we're
I
all.
think it's good community.
Yeah,
Yeah,
part of these communities
yeah,
is because we've all just been wanting to share for so long. So finding other like-minded
absolutely.
people that we can share and
Yeah,
bounce things off, and yeah,
yeah,
it's huge. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
absolutely. I agree.
Well, I think that about wraps us up for now, Tink. Thank you so much for
Sounds
your
good.
time. It's been a pleasure having
Thanks
you on
for
the
having me
podcast.
here.
Yeah, we'll get
I
you back
really
in and get back
appreciate it.
in touch probably a bit
Yeah,
later on, and we might jump back in 6 months and see where you're at
yeah,
and see
check
what's
in.
going
You might
on.
have a bit of
Yeah,
growing season happening. Share a
yeah,
few more terpene profiles and stuff like that.
yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. New
Always keen for
strain.
that. Yep,
Yeah, maybe a few more blessables.
sounds good to me.
All right, mate.
All right, well, thanks again, mate, and we'll be in
You too.
touch.
Bless
Take
your
care.
heaps. Yeah. Bye for now.
A massive thanks to Tink for joining us today. That was our first interview ever on the Terpene table. So bear with us while we, work out a few kinks and things like that. But I really hope you enjoyed it. What a conversation, and what a journey from soil to sweet. So if you're curious about leveling up your edible game, make sure to head over to Tink's Discord server, Blessed by Tink. And as we said in the conversation, their links can be found on the Wild Root Cultivars Discord as well. We have plenty more episodes lined up, from breeders and growers to business owners, trappers, and just scene junkies. I'll be trying to drop an interview episode at least once a month, so be sure to keep an eye out for those. They're sure not to disappoint. Be sure to catch us on the next one as we head back and talk terpenes. Until then, keep grounded, keep lit, and keep gardening.
Give me a home out in the bush, please, with lots of more trees, a bomb or two, me, mate. Wild roots, some skunk out the back, hydro in the shed, in the old smoking chair. In the old smoking chair.